yogis. So I've had several questions regarding down dog and how to perform it. So I'm going to do a quick tutorial on what you should be feeling and how to work into this pose to get those benefits and really feel those stretching and strengthening of those specific muscle groups. So for beginners or anyone that's just new to yoga, I would recommend maybe just having a blanket and a block, or even if your calves and legs seem to be tighter, these will be key to help you with having support through those calves and that leg in this pose. So grabbing whatever you have, so like I said, blanket or block. If not, that's okay, you can always stay up on your toes. We're just gonna find a tabletop position. So tabletop position, your hands are under your shoulders, your knees are under your hips, hands are shoulder width apart, knees are hips width apart, your spine is straight, and just the gaze is down. Now with the hands, you're gonna spread your fingers wide, the middle finger should be parallel to the mat, and you're just pressing down, but as you kind of feel energy lifting up through the arms. Now in down dog, we actually do an external rotation of the shoulders. So just to prepare for that, let's give that a try. So you're gonna externally rotate the shoulders as you protract the shoulder blades. So we're just warming up the serratus anterior here, the rotator cuff, because this is key to stabilizing the shoulder in this pose. So finding a few of those rotations, it's almost as if you're bringing your elbows close together, internally rotation there as your external rotation of the shoulder occurs. Now if you kind of got that grasp of that, you'll tuck your toes under. Again, the hands are pressing firmly into the mat, and you'll lift the hips high. So in down dog, a lot of yoga practices will begin with this. So it's important just to kind of see how your body feels. So I recommend just walking out the dog, not worrying too much about what you're feeling, if you're doing it correctly. Just find some movement, see how your body feels. Maybe rock the hips from side to side, and then just come back to center. Now before we move on, let's just figure out what your perfect down dog distance is, hands to feet. So if you come into a plank, again, shoulders over the wrist, your head, hips, and heels in one line, and press back, that's where you want to be. So as you can see, I conveniently just landed onto the blanket for the heels. So if your calves are tight, the legs are tight, and you can still straighten your knees, you can put the blanket right underneath the heels. That's a great modification. Or you can always use the block if you can't go that far down. The block can also be a nice support for you. So finding that distance, hands to feet, the hands are in line with the feet as well. Now, let's externally rotate the shoulders so you feel that stretch as you gently let the chest sink through the shoulders. So you're pushing through the hands, allowing the chest just to sink, and the neck is relaxed. Your gaze is just between the thighs. So the hands are pressing, you feel that energy pressing through the hands, through the arms, as the spine lengthens. Now here, I'm still just gonna keep my knees bent for now as I'm talking about the spine. So lengthening the spine is the priority. So you don't want to be too rounded, you don't want to be too close. You want to find that sweet spot of that perfect slight anterior pelvic tilt. So you feel like your tailbone is just lifting high to the sky. Now you feel that lengthening from the cervical spine to the lumbar spine. Nice one strong line. Now from here, we'll talk about the legs. So you don't have to have the heels all the way down to the mat. That's okay. Eventually you might get there. But you can keep your knees bent, especially if it's too much pressure in your hips. Because again, if you're anterior tilting, lifting the sacrum high, you're feeling that stretch in your hamstrings. So maybe as you pedal out your feet, you can eventually straighten the knees more. So options, you can keep the knees straight, heels off the mat. You can still have your heels off the mat and bend the knees. And remember, you can always use one of the props behind the heels, or you're just sinking down, heels to the mat. So this is the final down dog pose here. So
Head is relaxed, pressing through the arms, hips are lifting, and my core is tight. Lastly, I'm gonna squeeze and engage my quads so I see my kneecaps lift up. So I'm activating the whole front side of my body, the quads, the core, the chest, as I'm feeling a nice stretch and lengthening through the back side of my body. So there's a lot to it, but that's a lot of the fundamentals. So really just focusing on equal weight distribution through the hands and into the feet is ideal, but finding that shoulder lock to really stabilize through the shoulder is going to prevent you from getting any impingement or neck issues. And like I said, easing into the legs and straightening the knees and allowing the heels to come down will also be very beneficial for anyone beginning or any tightness through the calves and the hamstrings. So I hope that helped. If you have any questions, just message me. I'm happy to give you more feedback and answer any questions that you may have. Namaste.